Now we will go ahead and get started. The topic of the day is how to leverage the EDI to grow your business. Presenting today's information is Greg Swallow. He is a strategic account manager at HighJump Software. HighJump is a software development company that develops true commerce EDI solution. He has 19 years of experience working in the space of EDI in North America. Greg, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks very much, Jeremy, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to me talk. Try to keep it informative, but please, if there's any questions going forward, stop me. Be happy to take them and move forward, give you some clarity. Just going to talk about today who we are, what we're all about. It's not going to be a sales pitch. I wanted to educate you on what EDI is, the things that are involved with it, what you should be thinking about as a vendor doing this, whether your customers are asking you or you're something that you're going to be asking your vendors to do with EDI. We'll talk about what it is from a high level, who's doing it, what it's all about, and that sort of idea. And then there will be a little bit of our approach. How does True Commerce address the needs of the SME market space with EDI? Just a quick overview. True Commerce has been doing EDI since 1995. Why that's unique, and I will point that out, is that this is all we do. We don't sell hardware. We don't sell ERP packages. We focus in on EDI. That's important in a partner of any site, is that you have a focus. We understand the ways the Walmarts, the Kmarts, or the trading partners want to deal with you. We also understand how the ERP works and how we react to it in an EDI fashion. So when looking at a vendor or someone to work with in an EDI relationship, you want to have someone who does this day in and day out with dedicated people. We are a SAGE endorsed partner. This is something that we're very proud of. We've had it for about 3 years now. What this means is that they've looked at all the different EDI vendors out in this market space and said, for our needs and for our customers' needs holistically, True Commerce meets all those needs by supporting it, by maintaining it, by keeping it current with our versions as we roll forward. So what that, having a partner who's endorsed is something that you should look for, whether it be EDI or any of the other endorsed partners out there. Look for that symbol so that you know that SAGE is standing behind it and that we're part of the development cycle. We're just not creating something on the back side and trying to add into it. We're part of the process of SAGE moving forward, so we get access to the product and the vision of the product moving forward. We've got over 4,500 customers in North America. So if you think about it, every time, every morning we start up, 4,500 companies rely on us to get all their purchase orders through, to send their invoices, to make their payroll. It's a huge responsibility. And a responsibility that we take full-heartedly is that we don't charge a monthly maintenance fee or a monthly contract. We earn your business every 30 days to keep you active. So the onus is on us to make sure that we have 4 nines in our network. It's always up to move data back and forth, that your integration into your Accpac system is tight, so that's working. Something that we take very seriously in our business. And as we go into the presentation, I'll actually show you what we do to support that. We deal in X12. I'll get into what X12 is, but that's a standard of transaction set by ANSI from communicating data back and forth. Our only focus is SME, small, medium-sized enterprises. So all of the SAGE packages, so if there's people on board who are outside of Accpac, we support all the MAS, Petries, and PFWs as well. There's 2,000 trading partners that we're active with. These are trading partners like Walmart, JCPenney's, Lord & Taylor, and so on. All the big box stores out there are all EDI active. And again, we'll get into that shortly. We're going to have different people on the phone today, and so some of you are going to be very new to EDI. You've just received a letter from your customer saying, we'd like you to become EDI active by the end of the quarter, perhaps. Some of you maybe started with it, maybe actively looking at it, have a rip and read, or have a solution in place. And others of you are old done this for a long time, you're familiar with the terminology, the way it works. So we're going to try to cross this conversation across all those people to keep it interactive and interesting for you. EDI at a 30,000-foot view is really computer-to-computer moving of information. So if you think about it, in the old days, we used to create a purchase order, print it out, put it in an envelope, mail the envelope, someone at the order entry system would open it up and key it into their order entry system. In today's world, and saying EDI has been around for about 4 years, data moves from one computer system to the next. It doesn't matter if you're running Accpac on your end and your customer is running Mass 500 or X3, that information flows back and forth between the two entities, from their sales order to your order entry of information. And in between, based on a standard, we change that data so that it flows directly into the order entry system in a secure, reliable way so that we can audit the information between the two entities so that you know where your data is at all times. When we look at EDI as an EDI data just in a raw format, all the things that you would see in a purchase order cosmetically are all there in EDI. You have a header and a body and a detail. But in a raw EDI, it's just continuous text. If you look at this document, all the information that you would see in a paper purchase order, if you're looking at it, is there. But you can see it's a very difficult thing to ferret out the information that you need. Now, if it's just one purchase order that you're dealing with, this is probably not too taxing to try to give that to an order entry person to key into their into the OE system. But if you think of someone who's getting 100 or 200 purchase orders at a time, this becomes an opportunity for mistakes. If you had to key those UPC codes or SKU numbers or item descriptions in from this type of transaction into your order entry system, there's a chance of mistakes. Chance of mistakes really means there's a chance of fining from your customer to you. There's 314 different EDI transactions. Most of our customers work in the SIC codes 5051. So you're dealing with the big box stores, the big retailers, if you will. Their majority of transactions that they're dealing with are purchase orders, invoices, advanced ship notices. Some of you may have warehouses or 3PL units that you work with. So if you're in New York, you have a 3PL in Mobile, Alabama, or Dallas, and one out on the West Coast. That all works in an EDI process, too, of tying those all together. And really, if you think of EDI as cutting out the data, of keying the data into your application, having accurate data moving faster. There's some terminology that you'll continually hear if you're getting into it, or it's something that you're currently actively with, is trading partners. Everyone who deals between two entities, so your customer to you, is a trading partner. The purchase order will all have a number against it. That number will have an 850 document or a 810 invoice. All those different numbers will be part of the solution. Advanced ship notices, or ASN, is something we'll continue to talk about too later on, where we've put the eaches in the box and the box on the skid. ANSI X12, or the American National Standards Institute, version 12. Everyone who deals in EDI across North America deals in this standard. There's a subset of this standard that you'll see when we talk about transaction sets. So there's being the transaction set being the number associated with it. But ANSI is the overall governing body of EDI and the way that we're all doing it. Functional acknowledgments. Every time that data moves between yourself and your customer or yourself and your vendor is followed up with a functional acknowledgment. This allows each party to know the data was received intact in both directions. An implementation guide is something that you're going to receive from your customer. This is their interpretation of the standard of ANSI. So all your customers, if you have 5 or 6 different trading partners or customers that want to do EDI with you, they're going to supply you an implementation guide. This implementation guide, as I say, is their interpretation. So they're all different. And of course, value-added network, or VANs. There's lots of different VANs out there. Consider them very much like your cell phone carrier, your data carrier. So they're You don't know how they're connecting, but we interconnect to each other when we move the data from ourselves to your customer in a secured, reliable, auditable fashion. And then, of course, transaction sets. So say 314 different types of transaction sets out there that you could get involved with. Most of our customers who deal like the Targets and the Walmarts, if you will see about 14 different transaction sets over the lifespan of their customer. Every time you go into a big box store when you're out shopping, think of every product got into that store because of EDI. So everyone in a big box environment, from the Walmarts, Kmart's, Costco's of the world, every vendor there had to do EDI. And that's what's really probably enticed you to come to this call today, because you may have received a letter from one of these big box stores to become EDI active with you. So the things that you want to ask of your customer is, what type of documents do you want us to do? Do you want us just to start with a PO and an invoice, or are you looking for more different types of transaction sets? Something you want to know as you start out this relationship with your customer is really what's involved with you. What do you need to know about it? Do they have implementation guides? We like to get current implementation guides for you the way that your customer sees you. It's not a sound idea to take an implementation we got from another customer and try to overlay it for you. The reason for it, because you're unique. Your business model is unique. Your items, your price, your unit of measure, how they sell you, how they display your product. So we want to get an implementation guide, and for you to have that so that you understand the way that your customer sees you. A lot of the big box stores, because they have so many vendors, you think of Walmart, for example, with 14,000 vendors per store. They don't have time to test with each one of them, so sometimes they use third-party testing. We want to know that. You want to know that up front, so you have a timeline of what that testing is going to look like, and you have a total cost of ownership, what EDI is going to cost you. Your clients will know your product by a SKU number, or they may have a different part number for it, to the way that you have your items set up in your item tables. You'll have a ship-to code set up in Accpac, but they're going to send you a DUNS number. They may order a pack, and a pack could be, in your eyes, a 12-pack. But if you, let's say, a can of Coke, if you will, you can buy it as an each, you can buy it as a 6-pack, a 12-pack, and a 24. All those are unique SKU items, but how is that store going to order that to you? And then, therefore, how are you going to inventory it? So that there's a correlation between the way your customer sees you as a business and the way that you see yourselves. One of the things that we certainly encourage to all our customers, new and existing, is that you have a dedicated person for EDI. There's a lot of moving parts through the implementation and understanding of it, that you have someone internally that understands what's happening, when it's happening, and how it's supposed to happen. And we encourage you to have more than one person. If that person gets sick, wins the lottery, and moves on, we have customers calling us going, now what do we do? So we encourage you to have multiple people in your organization educated on EDI, understand what it takes to go get your POs in the morning, send back your invoices and ASNs. Have multiple people trained in your organization. When we look at companies who supply to the apparel industry, there's lots of things that you have to think of as an apparel person. Color, size, width. Is it being sold in a display case? Is it being sold on a rack? Are you responsible for putting the product on hangers? Are you responsible for shrink wrapping them, putting the hanging tags on them with the price and the discount price on it? All that type of information will be coming across on your purchase order, and something that you have to think of at the beginning of the relationship with your customer to talk through the thought pattern of how they see your business again. When you're packing items, in a master pack for most clothing is 2 small, 3 mediums, and 2 large. You want to make sure that those packs are configured correctly. And the reason for it is it goes down further through that supply chain and you create your advanced ship notice. We want to make sure the right items are in the box, the right labels associated with that box, and they're going on to the right cubic size and through the distribution chain. If you're dealing in a cosmetic or an over-the-counter drug, if you will, these are things that you have to consider as perhaps lot numbers or best before dates. Also, you may have to consider things like you're responsible, once it's stale dated, to bring the product back to yourself and destroy it. You may be governed through the FDA as a addictive drug, for example, in your product. You are responsible for bringing it back and having control of that information as it's moving from one entity to the next. EDI will help facilitate that because each transaction is unique and allows us to follow through. Hopefully some of the people on our call today are also perhaps seasonal people. So in your world, what you're thinking of or what you have to be involved with is I need to have my product on the shelf 30 days or 45 days before that special event, Mother's Day, Christmas, Easter, what have you. So I need to know my supply chain. How long is it going to take to get to the store shelves, from that distance back to the distribution center, from that distance back to me, and then perhaps back to my supplier. You need to know exactly how long that time looks like and then have a buffer zone in there so that we get the products on the shelves at the right time. The last thing you want to do is have your product arrive 2 days after Mother's Day because you're now going to eat it. You're either going to have the store discount it and so your margin's all gone, or you're in a situation where you're now having to bring it back and dispose of that product or inventory it for another year. So when we're dealing in seasonal goods, we're watching to make sure we got a very tight supply chain. EDI will give us visibility to that. It will also give us the demographics of who's buying that product in what area, so that you can get a historically to know that your product sells well in New York, but it doesn't sell well in Idaho. That type of information is useful to you as a vendor so that you know for next year how to scale up and get your deliveries correct so that you're getting the maximum out of that shipment. Say hopefully some people on our phone today are also perhaps in the food or perishable industry. What you're worried about is best before dates and lot numbers. It's important for you to get your product as fresh as possible with the longest life cycle at that store level quickly. So you may or may not be shipping through a distribution center. You may be shipping direct to store. But one of the nice things about doing EDI, it allows us to track your lot numbers as the shipment's going out. So that if there is a recall because of bad packaging or what have you, you don't necessarily have to bring back all the shipments for the month. You can be able to identify which lot numbers went to which distribution center, and from that distribution center you'll know which final destination or which stores they went to, and allow you just to retract those items from those unique stores and not having to bring back all your items. So something that we want to track in EDI, which allows us to do, is where are all my products at every one time. You may also be, in the food industry, responsible for bringing that product back, again, once it's been stale dated. So you're responsible for either pickup or receiving it back and sending it to a feed house or destroying it. That process of moving the product is correlated with EDI so that there's an audit trail so everyone knows where your product is and it hasn't ended up in the wrong hands. Hopefully we have people on who are special orders. Special orders are when we go to a big box retailer and we try to buy a couch or a shed or something like that. They're big, bulky items, dining room tables and so on. The stores don't have the square footage or the footprint to maintain all your different looks and feels of your product on their floor. So they have one sample and then a book or a catalog of how you can pick the right material. This information, I go in and I buy a couch, for example, from a store. At that point of sale, they're taking me, Greg Swallow, as consumer, my home address. And that information is going to be shipped to you as the vendor, brought in as the order comes into the OE system. My personal information is coming into your customer master file. That way, you know that you're going to ship me that couch. The couch arrives, I find it's the wrong color, it doesn't fit me. I need to send it back. The store doesn't want my product back on their floor. They still have that same problem of no place to put it. So they're going to want an RMA coming back from you to ship that product. I'll ship that product then back to you. Having my customer information coming in as EDI into your master files allows you to know that I actually did buy it from you in a reasonable timeline. I didn't keep it for a year or enjoyed Super Bowl with it and then try to send it back to you. I had it, didn't like it, and got it back to you. Having my customer information also lets me know if of any warranty information that you want to send out to me, perhaps something's changed in the product. So EDI allows us to electronically bring all that information in and then monitor it within your application. The basic process of doing EDI, and I'll run this through with the client that we'll be doing with the Home Depot. So we've agreed on their relationship. I'm now going to sell my widgets there. We've agreed on my price. We've agreed on how I'm going to sell it, my unit of measure. I may sell it in a coil. I may sell it by the pound. But we've agreed between my customer and myself how they're going to present that purchase order to me. We've agreed on the shipping date. So if I know that it takes me 24 days or 30 days to get the product through my supply chain, I want to make sure I have it in time for the store to receive that. Why that's important is the store itself doesn't want to have empty shelves. If your product doesn't reach the shelf at the appropriate time, as you agreed on, they'll put your competitors' products on those shelves. And until that product is depleted, your products are not going to go on it. The second thing that a store really considers, if I as a consumer going into buying a product, I believe that I want this widget. I go into a store, the store doesn't have that widget, I turn around and I walk out and I don't buy anything else. If my product's there, I will naturally pick up to 14 other products as an impulse buy. And if anyone has ever gone to a Costco with the idea of buying one item, you usually come out with a cart full. And it's because of all those impulse buys, things that you didn't know you needed when you got up this morning, you're going to get. Stores very much want to make sure your product at the right time is on their shelves. So Home Depot is going to send me that purchase order. The purchase order is going to come through a network. It's going to come into Accpac. Now this can be done manually, or it can be done as an unattended on a scheduler. As it's coming into the order entry system, all the things that an order entry person would think of if they were to key it in, we're now doing electronically. The first thing they're going to think of in your business is the customer's AR status out of whack. We don't want to accept a new order if the customer owes us money. Is the right price, unit of measure, do I have the product? All those things, is the correct bill to, the correct ship to, right on that order? If it's so, enter it in. We're doing that electronically. If you think of the time it would take to go through that thought pattern and manually enter that order in versus having someone electronically bring in hundreds of orders and you're only having to deal with the exceptions, that's the time saving. That's how you tighten up your supply chain and take costs out of it. Once I get my order in, and the neat thing is I can have that order in my system at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I don't even need my office staff. My pickers and packers can come in at 7, start packing that order, and get it ready. Now I'm going to create my shipment, so I need to call a truck. My truck's going to give me my trailer number, my truck number, and this could be also a FedEx or a UPS or a Purelator number. That's the shipment information. I create my advanced ship notice. That's a true representation of what I'm shipping. It's not your purchase order and send everything, because perhaps you didn't have enough quantity. I ordered 100, but you only could ship 98. I don't want you to send me an ASN or an invoice for 100 if you only sent me 98. So your advanced ship notice is a true representation of what products you send and how you pack it. I put 3 in a box, 6 in a box, what have you. I put that box on a skid. We produced the UCC 128 or MH10 label. We put this trailer number on it, and we sent out our advanced ship notice. So that's the next document that goes to us. Once that's document done, the order's posted, and an invoice goes out to your customer. But your invoice is now a true representation of what you sent. So again, it's not your purchase order turned around, because if you did that and short shipped it or shipped the wrong items, there would be a fine associated with it. So why are they asking you to do this, and why does your customer want to do EDI, and why should you really want to do EDI? It's a question that, you know, most people get into it. They get the letter and say, hey, thou must do EDI, but they don't know what it is. What you're looking for is a customer has either asked you for a tighter margin or more margin so they can get the price, or help them cut costs of their supply chain. What they're asking you to do in EDI is cut costs out of that supply chain to help streamline their business going forward and ensure that your product's on the shelf at the appropriate time. So you're mandated to do EDI. If you're thinking about it, you're looking at reducing the cost of associated costs of having someone key that information into the application. If we can have all your orders processes into your order entry system, and your order entry people are only having to deal with the exceptions, that saves you a lot of time. If the data is correct, so when we talked earlier about SKU numbers and item numbers and trying to rekey all that, if we've really matched those up against the way that you see your business versus the way your customer sees the business, that saves you time. That time represents money, represents no fines at the back end, or what's called as chargeback. So tightening up that supply chain, getting those orders moving faster into your system, allows you to process them and ship those orders out that same day. If you had to wait for your order entry people to key that in, and it may be multiple order entry people trying to keep those in, those orders of the day may not get in until noon, so it's another day before they're shipped. Having availability of having them in the morning allows them to get in there faster and process them through the system faster. So we're looking for faster time to market. Your customer is looking for faster time to get a product into their stores. When we do EDI, prior to doing it electronically, you sit down with your buyers and you talk through the process. We know, again, the pricing, the unit of measure, but we also know when you can deliver those products and what they're looking for in the shortness of distance between you, the distribution center, the distribution in the store. They don't want, a store itself doesn't want to hold your items on shelf. They want to have it there just in time to replenish that item back so that they're not sitting on your product as well. If you wanted to add a new item number, so you've got yourself in the EDI in one SKU. Once you're set up with your customer in an EDI process, adding that next SKU is an easier system because they're already in their picture. We also have a lot of customers who start off in a regional play because they were asked to do it. And once the trading partner or your client is happy with your system, he could take you to a national. So think about this if you were supplying to one Walmart one day, and the next day they send you a letter and say you can now supply to all 14,000 Walmarts out there in North America. That's a game changer for your business. That happened because you were part of their solution. You made a commitment to them, so they're coming back and making a commitment to you. Information accuracy is probably their biggest cost associated with doing non-EDR and no one doing EDI with it. Because they get the wrong part number, because the product was packed incorrectly, that's a huge cost for the distribution center in the store. If they have to open your boxes and repack them and create a new label associated with it, there's a cost associated with that, and they pass that cost back to you. You want to make sure your data and your information is accurate because sometimes those costs associated with it will be more than the margin you're going to make on that product. So you want to make sure that the information is correct. There's 4 required components to do EDI. You'll need a network. So that's like your cell phone carrier of data moving between 2 entities. And that connects all different ways out to the way your customers want to connect. From there, the network brings the data down into translation. This translation is the way that your customer sees it to the way that you need to see your information. From there, you want to integrate it into your application. So using the APIs of Accpac, you're bringing the data in, not at the database layer. You're not opening it up and putting it in. You're bringing it in as an order entry person would bring that information in. So we're respecting the way that you've set up your customer master files and your chart of accounts. All your business rules are still in play when you do EDI as that information flows in. So those are the components you need. Now, we're going to wrap all those components with maintenance and support. Your customers are going to will continue to move to versions of their transaction set. So today they're on version 4010, tomorrow they could be on version 4050. That's part of EDI and that's part of the evolution. Your Accpac, if you were on 5.4, you've moved to 5.5, you're moving to 6.0, you're going to move to 6.1. So that too is ongoing. So you're looking for someone to work with who maintains all those versions going forward, who's tested against the Accpac for the next version as it comes out, so that we're not a bottleneck for your business. We're migrating with you on both ends as your customers and as your business needs change. Each one of your customers is going to be set up differently, as I said. So you're going to get an implementation guide. Your unique relationship with one customer, it can't be replicated to a unique relationship to another. So we need to know how those clients are going to set up. One of the things that we do is support each way your client is going to be working with you. So you want to get all these components from one source, a source that, as we see it, backed by Sage saying, yes, we've done our due diligence on these guys. They can deliver what we want to do as an endorsed partner, and they've met the criteria of our customers. We're wrapping all the different ways your customers want to communicate with you and taking the onus on ourselves so that you can just run your business. We offer that solution in both on-premise and in the cloud. So people that are on the line who are thinking of 6.0 and 6.1 and moving to the cloud, we're there for you. If you're sitting and you want to do client server, there's an option as well. But if you decide in the future you want to go from client server to the cloud, no issue. We just move with you as you do that. The same as Accpac allows you to do that, we move with you going forward. I said earlier, unlimited phone and email support. There's no additional cost for it. There's an SLP of the product. You can get that from your reseller. You can get that from your CAM, that information, but ongoing costs so that we give you a total cost of ownership and what this product is going to cost you and what it takes to bring on your next customer. You'll know that up front so you can think it through if you wanted to add on new customers going forward. Technical implementation support, so that's your upgrading of your customers and the upgrading of your Accpac itself. All your maintenance is included in this. So if you want to call us, keep us on the line. We're there for you to support you. And your trading partner maps, as I say, as they move forward. One of the things that we do is give you all these things as a customer center so that you can go in and know what's going on. You have visibility into your projects, and you have visibility into us. There's a knowledge center, so if there's questions, frequently asked questions, or you're having new people join your business, there's an opportunity for them to go and see and understand before they have to call to give them some heads up. When we take an implementation, we go through a planning stage. When we present the quote, before we take your money, we sit down and we understand exactly what you want to do. We blueprint it for you so that you know that we understand. We take you through training, we take you through deployment of this, and then right into production so that you're dealing with someone all the way through the process and that understands and it's recorded every conversation, every step that you want so that you can go in at any time and view this. So you know coming in as a customer, where's my project at? I didn't get someone on the phone or we didn't connect on email because we're on West Coast versus East Coast. You can go into the system and find out where your project's at any time. Wanted to share with you, if I could, this case study, and I encourage you to download it from that URL at the bottom. This is a client who bought EDI once, bought EDI twice, and finally came to True Commerce to get up and running. So they bought something that they thought was the right thing. But as they grew as a business or as their needs changed, they found that didn't meet all their needs. So they went to another vendor. One of the things that they point out in this conversation was the total cost of ownership they couldn't get control over. All they saw were bills coming to them every time they wanted to add something or change something, upgrade from their ERP to the next version. There was an associated cost with it. That's what the triggering point was for this client, and something that you should consider if you're new to EDI is, what is my lifespan of this? What's this really going to cost me? So I encourage you to download and read this case study. Secondly, working with Sage, we've created this for you people on the phone today. If you're looking at EDI and there's an opportunity to work with you, we'd like to incent you with a $1,500 discount off the SLP if you purchase the product this quarter. So working with your CAM, working with your salesperson, or working with us, we encourage you to take advantage of this. It's significant. If you're looking at an SLP, just for an example, of $13,250 with 3 trading partners, this is a significant amount of money and something that we'd like to draw your attention to. With that, I'll open it up if there's any questions regarding EDI. My contact information is here. You're welcome to call me directly. You're welcome to email me. If you want me to share this information internally with your company, please reach out to me. I can tailor a talk about your business uniquely, use your business, and build a talk out for your own company if you'd like. And with that, Jeremy, I'll open it up if there's any questions.
Yeah, great. So nothing's in the chat right now. If there's any questions and you'd like to ask some questions over the phone, please dial *6 to unmute your line. We'll give it a few minutes, and if there's no questions, we'll wrap up early. Well, Greg, it doesn't look like there are any questions. Again, *6 if you'd like to ask any questions. If not, go ahead and wrap up, Greg.
Very good. Well, again, thank you for your time. Would like you to, if there's any additional questions, if there's something that I didn't cover, if you want to talk about your business uniquely, certainly like to have that conversation with you. Would like you to consider if EDI is in your thoughts for this quarter to take advantage of our $1,500. Certainly call your customer account manager, work with your resellers, or call me direct. But we're all here to make you successful in EDI and to make it affordable and painless and scalable as we grow through your business. So again, thank you very much.